With me this afternoon is our very own Jeremy Kiss. He has over 20 years' experience as a manager in global telecommunications with Siemens and Ericsson, and Jeremy is an author, writing the book Making Happiness a Habit. Good afternoon, Jeremy.
Good afternoon, Chris.
Now, Jeremy, you're an author. You also got a degree in psychology, and of course you work for a local radio station.
I do indeed.
As a newsreader. And you've got a very successful website business as well.
I do, absolutely right.
Now, Jeremy, this book that you've actually written, how did the subject of happiness come about?
Well, yes, the book's called Making Happiness a Habit. The first chapter is actually, I discuss how I came to write the book. And it all started with my grandfather. Now, when I was a child, one of my grandfather's favourite expressions was, if your face won't smile, make it. Of course, growing up, like all of us, it was just one of those silly things that granddads say, isn't it? But then later on, I thought, you know what? I wonder if it's true. I wonder if you could actually make yourself happy. Could you do things in your own life to promote your own happiness? And as I looked into it, I found out there was a thing called the Duchamp smile, which is the politician smile. You know, the fake smile.
Yes.
Where people smile and you can tell in their eyes it's not genuine. And what was interesting about these fake smiles, sometimes called actresses' smiles as well, you know, when they suddenly smile when a camera appears. With those smiles, it actually generates endorphins just by smiling. So although the smile doesn't really fool anybody else, it fools your own physiology or physiognomy. So it creates endorphins in your body. So it actually does make you happy just by smiling, which is amazing. The other thing, of course, is if you smile, it's contagious, and that makes other people smile, makes them happy, and, you know, makes everybody feel more positive. So it's a good thing.
That is very interesting. And of course, the book is called Making Happiness a Habit. Now, in the book, you write about people's behaviours.
Yes, I focus very much on behaviour, and there's a reason for that. If you think about what happens when we do anything, there are three sort of important elements: the things we say, the things we do, and the things we feel, which we might say are our thoughts, our behaviour, and our emotions. And they all affect each other all the time. After all, that's how advertising it works, isn't it? I mean, they show you happy families and puppies and things to play on your emotions, knowing hoping that will affect your behaviour. So in the 1957, a man by the name of Leo Festinger discovered something called cognitive dissonance. And what that basically means is that we feel uncomfortable if we don't share, if there's any disconnect between the things we do and the things we say, so that you can change the way that you behave will change the way that you feel and the way that you think. So that's why I focused on behaviour, for that reason, and because obviously behaviour is easier to modify and to measure. I mean, it's easier to say. If you say, for example, I'm interested in modern art, how do I know you're interested in modern art? Well, it's by your behaviour. It's because you're buying books on Picasso, you're going to modern art museums and the like. And obviously, I couldn't tell you. You could just tell me you're interested, but it's your behaviour. So that's why I focus very much on behaviour in the book.
The book also describes a simple method of how you can develop and help change your personality. How important are habits to change your habits?
So habits are very interesting because we are habitual creatures. I mean, and most people can drive, that's a habit. If you can play a musical instrument, that's a habit. If you can read, you can't help. If you see a sign in English, you can't help but read it. That's why posters and things and billboards, etc. So we are creatures of habit. Now, the way that the brain works in terms of habit is that it actually generates a weak electrical impulse that moves between the neurons, the brain cells, but the neurons, they don't actually touch. There's a thing called a synaptic gap. And that synaptic gap is filled by a chemical called a neurotransmitter. Stay with me, okay? So what it does, it causes a circuit in your brain which is filled with this neurotransmitter to allow the weak electrical charge. And every time a circuit is formed, it gets stronger and the gap gets closer, which means it's becoming automated. Now, the interesting thing about neurotransmitters is they have another function. They affect our mood. They there are different types. There are about 40 different types of neurotransmitter. You may have heard of some of them. One of them is called endorphins. There's serotonin. Anyway, there are many, many different types of neurotransmitter which affect your mood, which is why when people remember things, if you talk to somebody, say from the First World War, something that happened nearly 100 years ago, they can be in tears at a memory of something because the neurotransmitters are affecting their mood, which is so closely connected. So that's one of the reasons that I've concentrated on habits, is because by changing your habits, and if you change your habits on a permanent basis, by changing your behavior, you will actually change your personality.
That's incredible. It really is. And I thought human beings were quite complex people, but life's not as simple as you're making out, really. You say you're actually responsible for your own happiness. Is your behaviour, the way that you actually act? You were saying about smiling, it makes you feel better. Does that do that to other people?
So what I did with the book was, I'm like everybody else, I'm sort of lazy. So I thought, what I need are 4 simple behaviours or guidelines of things that I could do, or anyone can do, that can improve your life. So I outlined these 4 behaviours, and because I'm lazy, I thought I need a way to remember them. And I came up with a mnemonic, which is SMILE, S-M-I-L-E, and it stands for the 4 behaviours. The first is stop moaning. The second one is introspection and worry. Don't worry about things you can't do anything about. If you can do something, do it, because it will empower you. The third one, the L from SMILE, is learn new skills. It's only by learning new skills that you actually improve yourself. And the last one is empathy. And by that I mean try to look on the best from other people, particularly people you don't like, because you'll find that you end up liking them. I've found this in the past, that people that can just irritate you, but if you look for the good in them, you will find that you like them and you'll be far more positive. If you do those 4 behaviours, 2 of which are things to stop doing, stop moaning and stop worrying, easily said, and what my book is about is information, tips to help you to do those things, to stop worrying and stop moaning, and then do some positive things, learn new skills and empathise with other people.
Well, that is really fascinating. Now, the book is called Making Happiness a Habit. Where can we buy this really interesting book?
So the book is available exclusively on Amazon, where you can buy it as a paperback. It's priced $9.99. You can also get the Kindle version, which I think is £8. If you want to hear me reading it to you, you can get it on Audible or iTunes, recorded version.
That's excellent. Just one final question. Obviously, over the years, you've done a lot of research on happiness.
Indeed.
How has it changed your life?
Changed my life. Well, one is I wrote the book. I set myself some targets. So one of the things I thought, things I wouldn't have normally done. I wrote the book. I started on the radio, something I'd never done before. I was absolutely terrified when I started.
You were on my first show. That first day, I remember. Yes.
So something I had no background in at all. Other things I've done recently that I wouldn't have done. I stood for local government. These are things that I would never have done. I consider myself to be a reasonably shy person that wouldn't put myself forward. But because I'd come up with this idea of things that you should do to improve your life, I find myself, I'm a lot more positive. I've boosted my own self-esteem and boosted my own self-confidence, and it's something that anyone can do.
And you've really practiced what you preach. Jeremy, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.